Hey guys, in this video we are going to be going over why attention is the new currency and why you and your business are bankrupt. So let's get into the video. You can have the best product, you can have the best service, you can even have the best price, but if no one is paying attention, none of that really matters, does it? Okay, so in this video, I'm going to explain exactly why attention matters more than money and how brands can lose it and how you can actually start earning in 2025. Even though we're coming down to the latter side of it, the last quarter of this year, you need to be making money and you need to be setting yourself up for 2026. So this is how, and this is what we're going to break down. Now, attention equals opportunity. Money is the byproduct of attention, right? So you can't sell someone who doesn't know you exist nowadays anyway. Attention opens the door and money walks through it. That's a good way of putting it. So you have to understand that money in this day and age follows eyeballs. For example, with influencers, most aren't even talented, right? Not in a rude way, but because they own attention, they can launch makeup brands, they can launch clothing lines, they can get six-figure sponsorships. Even if they don't have a business, there are businesses out. I've worked with businesses who are paying six-figure checks to these influencers. And why? You might think, you know what, I take back that they don't have talent. It takes a lot of effort and dedication and discipline to get to where they are. So I take back what I said, but they have a lot of attention, whether they have 10K followers, whether they have 20K followers, all the way up to 1 million followers. If they can garner that attention and they have that specific business's, target market, people are going to pay to put their product in front of that influencer and get them to promote it, because they know that where attention goes, money flows. A lot of businesses, a lot of brands try to ignore this. However, there is a cost to ignoring attention. If your competitors dominate the feed and constantly show up, they'll capture demand even if their product isn't better. And I've seen that in the case of so many businesses. When you sometimes go to a restaurant and you think to yourself, they have hardly any following, you don't know who they are, hardly any Google reviews, and and you're like, oh my gosh, the food here is really, really good. And you'll go to a restaurant that has like all these 100,000 followers or thousands of followers on Instagram or TikTok or whatever. All these influencers are going there, but their food is not that good. That is because they have got that attention, they're on your feed, and they know how to garner that attention. And they've got all these people coming to their restaurant, but their food isn't that good. That's because they don't have the best product or the best food or the best service, but they know how to market themselves and they know how to garner that attention, as opposed to the restaurant that has really got really great food and really good service, but they don't know how to market themselves and garner that attention properly. It's a shame, but that's how the world works. So to make sure that's not you, you're on the right video. What that just summarizes, the marketplace doesn't reward the best product or service, it rewards the product that people know about. Point blank, period. Now let's get into the harsh reality of things. I think a lot of business owners, or you watching, if you have a business, you haven't got a sales problem, you've got an attention problem. So, Luala, what does that mean? Well, most businesses think we need more discounts, or we need better prices, or we need better new offers. We need to keep up with the Joneses, But no, you need more eyeballs. As I said before, point blank. Number 2 is that you're competing with everything. You're not just competing with other brands in your niche, you're competing with businesses like Netflix, you're competing with memes, influencers, TikTokers, all of it. And if your, content is boring, you've already lost, because people's thumbs are scrolling faster than your ad or your content even loads. You know what I mean? And lastly, it's that brands are playing it safe, which kind of equals invisible nowadays. The brands that have polished product shots or generic images and that just blend into the background, you have to understand that nowadays people want not just authentic, they want different, they want to be wowed. And obviously people are doing a lot nowadays. Like, you have money being pumped into full-on production shoots that are like, oh my god, how are they even doing that? I don't have the money to do that. But sometimes you just have to switch it up, and that's even in the smaller things. It might be how you're filming it, the different shots that you're doing, the types of influencers or you know, backgrounds that you're using, just the small little tweaks. But don't be generic. Don't have the really super things don't need to be super polished and put together and look really, you know. So that's another thing. On to the action steps, which is what I know you're here for, and that is how to earn attention. How are you going to get those eyeballs? How are you going to garner that attention? How are you going to make your money? That's what we need to get into. So, hook. Firstly, the first 3 seconds matter more than anything, okay? So, if you don't stop the scroll instantly, you have lost. I say this, I've said this many times, and even in the ads that I do and the ads that I've done for my clients, again, there's a lot of testing. You have to see what works well for your audience. You have to see the different, you know, test different videos and creatives and whatnot. But the first 3 seconds are very important in someone deciding whether or not they are going to twitch their thumb a little more and scroll to the next video, or they're going to give you the time of day and actually think, oh, what is this brand about? How can this benefit me? Oh, this sounds interesting. You know what I mean? You do it when you're consuming your content, you have to think, what does your target customer, what are people going to think when they're scrolling on your video or your ad or your whatever? Okay, tactics you could do this is like pattern breaks, bold statements, humor, shock, questions, all in the editing as well. Now, obviously, depending on where you are in the business, if you can learn a bit of editing skills, it will benefit you greatly. If you have the money to do so, do invest in an editor, because they will upgrade your videos. You could have a plain, you know, talking head video, whatever, a little bit of graphics here, a little bit of, you know, zooming in or shots to this or shots to that or motion graphics, and it will definitely upgrade your video. So invest in an editor. If not, invest in yourself and build that up yourself. Next is tell stories. So people connect with humans, not features. I'm not going to go into this one too much because I have a whole video on it here. If you're interested in that, go and watch that, because that is a very good video detailing on how you can tell stories to capture and connect with your target audience. So, you know, with my clients, I work with a lot of hair and beauty brands, and instead of saying, I used to spend £300, instead of saying, you know, 100% virgin hair or lasts for 3 years, you could tell a story and you have this person who says, oh, I used to spend £300 on wigs that only lasted me 2 weeks, and then I found this insert brand and XYZ, and they were so good, and this, that, and the other. There we go. Be different. That's my next point. Look at your niche. If everyone's doing polish, go raw. If everyone's doing serious, go funny. If everyone's doing studio content, switch it up and do a nature background. I don't know, switch it up. Now, attention comes from contrast. If you're doing what everyone else is doing, it's not going to get you very far. You know what I mean? Okay guys, I decided to act on what I'd been just talking about and switch it up on the scenery. So we're in a different spot. The sun did go in, so that's quite sad. But to follow on from what I was saying, the last one was be consistent. Now, everyone harps on about this, but it is such an important one. At the end of the day, attention compounds. You can't just post once a month and expect to be remembered, especially if you're on Instagram or TikTok and your competitor is posting every day. Now, maybe, you know, it might be too much to start off posting every day, but at least 3 times a week, 4 times a week, and then get in that routine so you're matching what your competitors are doing. Also, you have to think of it like interest. I think I said this in another video, but every time you show up, you earn a bit more attention equity, if that makes sense. So that is a couple ways you can earn attention. I think a key thing to add in the video too is that attention without conversion is useless. And what example can I give with this? There's a lot of influencers out there, or I'm not going to say in the case of businesses, but a lot of influencers who might have millions and millions of followers but can't sell anything because they haven't really stood for anything. Their content is just random. It's not very, but obviously they haven't built they've just built it to make viral videos, or they've just built it to get that attention, but not necessarily built it with substance, if that makes sense. As opposed to, you might have a creator with 10,000 followers or 20,000 followers who really make niche content, or content that really speaks to people, or is business orientated, or is like teaching something, and they can sell a lot more. So with what I mean by that is that attention alone is just noise if it doesn't move people to act. I hope that kind of made sense. But what you can do to kind of harness this up and make it work for you in your business, we're not talking influencer now, that's a different kind of scenario, in your business, is build it out in a funnel. Again, I know I've spoke about this before. What I'll probably do is make a detailed video on funnels, but top of funnel, you know, having a funnel for your content. So top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel. Top of funnel would be making sure that you're basically stop the scroll type of creative. So it might be funny, it might be bold, it might be emotional. Middle of funnel is more so proof and trust. So for example, you have testimonials, before and afters, or a brand story. And then bottom of funnel is more an irresistible offer. So it's like a no-brainer as to why the customer should buy. And by, you know, a viral TikTok, it might grab millions of views. I was going to say hundreds of millions, but that's quite a lot. Maybe like, we'll just say millions of views. But if you don't direct that attention to an offer, it's just wasted. You've got the views, but you haven't got any conversions. So I don't want to make this video too long, but in 2025, the brands who own attention will own the market. Basically, if people aren't paying attention to you, they're paying attention to someone else at the end of the day. So a practical takeaway for this would be, look at your last 3 posts or your last 3 ads. If you're wanting to do more, do 5, do 10, if you really want to be an action taker, and look at how you're doing right now. Because the thing is, to know where you want to go, you have to first look at where you are currently and then map out how you're going to get there. So look at audit your last 5 posts. Will say, did they make, or you can ask maybe a family member or a friend, did they make, or you, if you're looking at it, of course it's a bit biased because you're going to be like, oh, I spent so much time in this, but did they make you stop scrolling? Did they make you feel something? You know what, it's probably better if you ask someone else. And if not, you're not in the game, you're invisible. So money is the reward, but attention is the entry ticket. That's a good one. Money is the reward, but attention is the entry ticket. If you can't get attention, you can't get paid. So I hope you liked the video. I'll be back with another. Like I said, I'm on the consistency with you guys. If you do have a business, as I say in my videos, I'm rooting for you. I'm sure it will do very, very, very well. And if you're looking for that extra bit of help, I'm going to leave my link in the description so you can book in a call. Anyway, see you soon. Lots of love.